Hi everyone, this is Rich the Engineer Muny, PPA board member and Kentucky State Director, coming to you from my home in Northern Kentucky with this edition of the Fight for Poker Rights. Well, the huge news this week, of course, was Black Friday. The Department of Justice seized the internet domain names of three major online poker sites. As players, this has had severe repercussions for us, of course, in that we've lost many sites at which we were playing up until Black Friday. Our action this week is pretty clear. It's incumbent upon us to ensure that we're telling Congress and telling our state lawmakers, telling President Obama and telling Attorney General Holder that we want our right to play. Not only do we just want the right to play, we actually want the industry to be on really solid footing. We would like to have legislation passed through Congress that brings U.S. sites into the market and allows a worldwide market. This is pretty straightforward. And we've been asking for it ever since UGA passed in 2006. So it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we're continuing to press this message to Congress. And there's an easy way to do it. PPA has created a website at theppa.org/takeaction. If we all just visit there and go through the action items, we can be assured that our lawmakers will all understand where we stand. The first thing to do is just send out a letter to your congressman. It's pre-written, so it takes less than 60 seconds to tell everybody I just named, from President Obama all the way down to your congressman, that you demand your right to play. Once you do that, if you just pass that along to your friends, family, significant other, and have them send their own individual letter from that site, that will continue to build the momentum we have in Congress, because you'll multiply your effectiveness by 5 or 10 or maybe even more depending on your network. And speaking of networks, the next step, of course, would be to put this link out on your Facebook page, Twitter it out to your followers on Twitter, and ensure that everybody is hearing from what we're doing. My experience when I first went to Capitol Hill to discuss with our lawmakers our position in terms of our rights, the thing that struck me the most was that they didn't seem to realize that so many Americans wanted this liberty. I mean, if you think about it, the anti-gaming groups were pretty loud, whereas we were being kind of quiet because we liked how things were prior to that law passing in 2006. Additionally, there wasn't a U.S.-based industry, and a lot of lawmakers, if they're not offering it here, they don't really know it exists. So a lot of our work since then has really convinced them that there really is a large body of Americans who believe in this liberty. And let's just continue this and keep pushing that forward. And the way to do that is to ensure that you're telling your representatives in the government, they're yours, that how you feel about this. Once done, recommend picking up the phone. We have all the information on that website I mentioned, ppa.org/takeaction. And just give them a phone call and tell them how you feel as well when they hear a real voice and they can ask questions. The staffer who takes the call will understand that a certain number of Americans believe in this liberty as well. And we have a whole list of things, so really encourage everybody to take the time and ensure that you're all doing, everyone here is doing their part to push forward on this liberty. So I thank you for that in advance, for taking that moment of your time to ensure that your voice is being heard. And then next, of course, we have some Q&A. We started this on the last discussion where we just be frank, open, and honest. I try to take the toughest questions we get and provide some answers to them. And we've had quite a few. The first one is a straightforward one. How come we have to do all? How come it's taking so long? Why do we have to just keep writing and calling? Can't we just have a big mass protest and have that law changed right away? And the sad news is there isn't a magic wand. There's no shortcut. I wish there were. Our opponents took 10 years to get UGA passed. They started late 95 and they didn't get passed until 2006. So 10 or 11 years for that to happen. We're on a similar path where we have to put in the legwork as well, and we've put in our 4.5 years of work on it, and we're continuing to do so. But that's how things happen in a representative democracy. There's not a magic shortcut. I know it's easy to think everybody thinks like we do and assume that Congress is doing what they're doing in defiance of the will of the American people. But the reality is, when I've gone to visit, a lot of them have just not realized how many of us hold the beliefs we hold. And it's changed a lot over the last 4 years, but that's an effort we need to continue putting forward to our lawmakers. We have a lot of competition in that area, and it wasn't going to be easy. I mean, when we lost that vote in 2006, we lost 3-1 in the House as a freestanding bill. We lost 317 to 93. Anyone who thought that was going to turn around automatically and quickly just because we formed an organization and started the task of the fight back was probably extremely optimistic. It takes more than that. I mean, that's like the start of the fight. The fight is a long fight, unfortunately. But we're in it, and we're going to keep being in it. And I ask everybody who's listening to this podcast to join us and be in it as well. And that brings me up to the second point. Encourage everyone to go to theppa.org/join. Be sure to join up. Make your voice heard. Don't let somebody else speak for you. If you don't speak, if you don't call, if you don't join PPA, and if you don't take the other steps necessary to make this happen, somebody else will speak for you. Someone from an anti-gaming group, they're going to make the phone call. And if you don't speak up and they do, your representative is going to assume you either agree with them or at least you don't disagree with them. So don't let those people speak for you. The second question is another pretty straightforward one. It again relates to the PPA. Some people have posted concerns that we didn't solve this in a year, and they seem to think perhaps that means we weren't as effective as we could be. And to be honest, I think we've done a great job considering where we started from. I'm very proud to be part of the organization. I'm an unpaid volunteer, and I've been happy to serve the poker community for the past 4 years. It's been my honor, and I thank you all for allowing me to represent you in this fashion. But we're only as strong as our volunteers. Everybody needs to join in. So just visit theppa.org/volunteer. Get yourself signed up. That's the most important thing you can do right now. When you do, your emails will go straight to your state representative, and they'll have you on, and they'll ask you to participate. And you can do it in whatever capacity you want. If you want to put in thousands of hours a year, we have use for that. If you can only participate maybe 2 hours a month, we have use for that. So we just ask that you come forward and join in the fight. The third question is, what are we doing about the media? How are we ensuring that our position is being covered fairly? And that's an excellent question. Prior to UGA passing in 2006, it was almost like we never had coverage on our issue favoring or even covering the opinion of the poker player. It was never representative of our point of view. It just seemed like they're covering it like a vice and trying to discourage the activity in general. It's unfortunate, but understandable. The media cover various issues in that fashion of our nature. But we're proud of our game. We're proud of the heritage of it, and I'm glad we stepped forward. Now, since UGA passed, PPA has done a lot of work in ensuring that the media outlets can get our quotes on these issues. They don't have to hunt for us. We're there to provide it for them, and they have contact information, whereas before, perhaps they weren't reflecting our opinion because they didn't even know where to get the opinion of a poker player. But now they do, and I'm sure everybody has noticed that when you read something in the mainstream media, even if it's against us, it always includes quotes from the Poker Players Alliance. This has been huge for us. I personally have tried to take steps in this. I have a column on biggovernment.com. It's at biggovernment.com/RMUNY. And that's a conservative themed site, and I feel it's important that we have our views represented on sites such as that. So I've tried to take the lead on that. So I encourage everybody to try to write columns, and if you're not a big writer, at least try to write an op-ed to a newspaper, post some comments when you see an article on the internet pertaining to our issue, and just put in a comment favorable to the right to play. In these types of things, you start to influence public opinion, because a lot of people don't have deeply held positions on this. Some of them just have a default position from maybe something I believed 20 years ago, and they've never really reevaluated it. If we take a moment to express our opinions, you can really convince some of these people. And poker is probably, for the people who don't like it, poker is the least offensive to those individuals of all, because it's a game of skill and it's not house banked. So it's not a situation where they could see it as a casino trying to exploit anybody. Rather, it's player to player. So we have a lot of advantages in that arena. So it's important that we try to get our opinion out there. I encourage everybody to take the time and ensure it's going out there. Again, I wish there were a shortcut. I wish you just had a magic wand, we got it done. But it takes work. It takes a lot of work. I've put a lot of my personal time into it, and that's just what it takes to make it happen. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep pushing, and at the end of the day, I believe we're going to be victorious. So I thank everybody for listening to the webcast. If you have any questions for me, contact me at ky@pokerplayersalliance.org. Right here for you, and let me know what's going on. And feel free to see us on any of the various online poker forums. We're pretty prevalent in all of them as well. I post as TheEngineer on several forums myself, so contact me there as well. Thank you very much.